Ah, I knew the dame was in trouble the moment they connected to my ship. Couldn't say a word, left all the questions to me. Or something like that. But really now, we both match, don't we? I mean, obviously you're some sort of investigator, so I think this goes especially well. Right? I mean, what do you think? Oh, well, thank you. Actually, this one is based off a movie I saw as a child. I guess the name doesn't really matter since it's countless hundreds of years old and all. Anyway, it was my favourite. I don't really normally like mysteries, but the love story in it was just so wonderful. Well, and it had a really cute guy for a hero. Anyway, he dressed like this, and it looked really great. Sidekick, huh? I like that a lot. So, about the whole look, you really don't mind when a girl dresses or acts more like a guy then? Well then, I think it's a really good look, so I'm glad. I don't mind either. You know, the part that's really sort of funny? I actually have no idea how an outfit like this is supposed to feel. Not like emotionally, I mean literally. I have no idea what suits feel like. I've never worn them in my life. Ah well, the chance for that has long disappeared. Anyway, I should stop babbling. I'm just really excited, that's all. I suppose I should really let you get back to it. Lead on, investigator, and your trusty sidekick will help as best as she can. As best as she can, huh? I don't know if I buy that entirely. The reason I say that with an air of skepticism, guys, is because if she's Hyune, and she was the pale bride who was on the ship at the time of its demise, why can't she just outright say what happened? I don't know. But we'll play her game. We'll continue reading these logs because, you know what, it's far more interesting than getting the direct answer from Hyune herself. A proper damn gentleman. Mute. A transcription fragment of a conversation held with Smith Sang-jung. Oh, that was how I knew shit had gotten worse. Sorry, serious. He actually agreed to let me pick the drinking house we went to. My oldest brother only ever humors me when he's really trying to get on my good side. It's never a good sign. Well, I mean, it's good for me, but certainly not him. I'm sure a classy lady such as yourself wouldn't be familiar with this kind of place. Ha ha ha! No, you know the sort. Tucked away in an interior deck, lots of wood furniture that's been stained, and not intentionally, with just enough commoners milling about to give a good background soundtrack. Oh, and it's run by a woman. Nice lady, too. So it's that sort of place. We arranged to meet up at the door. It's been a while, brother. I'm sorry I couldn't speak to you sooner, he said, trying to be polite. You're full of shit, I said. But hey, it's good to see you. So what do you want? I mean it, he said. He's a bad liar. So why here, anyway? At that point, the owner came by asking what we'd like. The only real thing you need to know about Janae, yeah, it'd be Janae, is that she's around my age. She's got the biggest tits I've ever seen in my life, and she dresses like a commoner. So you can certainly see them. Oh, he said. Fair enough. Bring your finest soju, I ordered. Please, she responded. You can't afford our finest. Totally not true. By the way, my reputation for being a cheap drunk, completely unfounded. Honest, I have no idea where people get these crazy ideas from. Anyway, far be it from me to argue. I just reply, maybe not, but my brother can. I mean, I knew he was going to ask me for money. That was obvious. Might as well get as much as I could out of him before giving whatever he wanted, right? Fine, we'll be sharing that, he said. Then he added, but how much to share it with you, too? She blushed. Amazing, really. She's got a lot of practice dealing with people like my brother, but I saved her the misery of having to flirt back with him. Do you really need more of that kind of trouble right now? With that, he let her go. Anyway, drinks came, we argued about the loose definition of finest, our server's tits, and the good old days, when father was still alive and we didn't have to work out our problems ourselves. The biggest bullshit ever, I said. Is that we're expected to be responsible men here? Is that expected to be responsible men? I don't even know. How'd that happen? He laughed. And was now drunk enough to start taking cheap shots. Is that why you've never bothered to be one? Ouch, I said. Damn it, hurry up and pour me more. I'll drink to that. He poured, but didn't say anything. All right, so what is it that you want? I'm getting the impression that you have a problem, and you want discretion. Because you're talking to me, right, brother? I was right. So where did you put it this time, brother, I asked. Put what? He replied. Oh, cut the shit, I said. We both know full well that all your problems in life have always, without fail, stemmed from you putting your dick somewhere you shouldn't have. He grunted in disagreement. But it's totally true. Was it at least a female this time? Swear to my father, brother was right about to punch me. Didn't, though. Instead, he just downed his drink. Yeah, that's the damn problem, he said. She's saying she hasn't bled in 2 months now. A courtesan, I promised him I'd help. Better she gets bought out by me than by my brother, the High Magistrate. Less suspicious that way, and involves nothing unlawful. Believe me now? A proper damn gentleman. That's me. Smith Sang-jung. I don't really know how to feel about him. I don't know. It doesn't really sound like anyone thought he was a very good person. It looks like he never married or anything. I guess he was friends with Mute? Well, that doesn't surprise me. He just seems weird. Like, it sounds like So-jin was kind of off-put by him, and I don't really blame her. I don't know. I have no idea how to judge him. See for yourself, I guess. I've added a few more things about him. Alright, so let's get into it. Who is Sang-jung? Daughter from Oh So-jin. We didn't read this one yet, right? For the past 2 months, ever since it became impossible to hide that she was with child, Jangmi... Oh, yes we did. Yes we did, indeed. Daughter, we read that. But we did not read I'm Sorry from Smith Sang-min. Uncle Daiho. Look, I'm sorry about our last conversation, alright? It's like I said to you before. You just caught me at a really bad time. So-jin was kept in bed rest on strict doctor's orders. I'm sorry that you brought your wife all the way to get turned away like that. When I told So-jin that you had given her well wishes on her pregnancy, she was happy but sad she couldn't see you herself. Our child was just born last week, a daughter. We decided to name her Min-hee. And So-jin is recovering well. The doctor said that it would be fine for her to see visitors next week. I'm sorry I got angry. If your wife still wants to see mine or the child or my mother, by all means, you're welcome to visit. I really hope there's no hard feelings, Uncle. Sang-min. Yeah, but we know the truth. That is a courtesan's baby. No luck. From Smith Sang-min. To the wife of Sang-kyu. You can probably put this more diplomatically than I can, because I'm pretty sure younger brother is still thoroughly pissed off at me. You know how he is, of course. I don't have the time to deal with that, especially when I'm already doing him a huge favor. The bad news is, I made an appeal to the captain and emperor himself personally, but he said there was no position that a man of Sang-kyu's skill set could possibly fulfill. I did most certainly plead, but let's face it, what official role could that man possibly fill? He's an idiot. Don't pass on that last part, he already knows. I did, however, speak to the park's son, and was able to convince him to forget the whole incident. It wasn't cheap, I might add. I'll continue to send your family a regular stipend, but please, keep your husband under control. I can't afford to keep cleaning up after his damn fights. Oh, yeah, I'm not really sure what all that business is about, truthfully. From what I understand, though, Smith Sang-kyun had a tendency to get in trouble. He sounds really unpleasant. A bit like a thug. Visit from Sang-jung by Oh-so-jin. My husband was out of the house, as he usually is during the day, so our servant fetched me instead to tell me that someone was at the door. I was in the middle of a conversation with Mute, but had no idea how I was expected to respond to that. What do? I asked her. She just responded in that usual shocking crass manner of hers. Gee, I don't know. You could try answering the door, maybe? Just a thought, of course. So I excused her and went to do that, but with a great degree of nervousness. I'd never done this before. At the door was my youngest brother-in-law, Sang-jung, who I had only met a few times before, although husband mentioned him often enough, usually in the same breath as calling him an irresponsible drunk. Seeing him did nothing short of compound my anxieties. Hello, sir, I stammered. So, Jin, he responds with an unbelievable volume. It's great to see you again. Hope you don't mind my dropping by unannounced. I just figured I haven't seen my new niece yet, and it's been forever since I've been in the old house, so, well, I thought I'd stop by, say hello to your daughter. I don't know. Sorry, my husband isn't home right now. Maybe you should come back later, I said, shifting uncomfortably. Oh, please, be a good girl. Let me come see her. I'm really not here for your husband. This was awkward. I didn't exactly want to turn away my brother-in-law, especially if he just wanted to see my baby, Min-hee, but this was hardly proper. It really wouldn't be my place. Sorry, you'll have to wait until my husband gets back. I trailed off. He rolled his eyes and smiled at me. Really? Come on. You're a smarter woman than that, he said, and put his hand on my shoulder. This had now moved on to incredibly uncomfortable. You really value his authority that much? He's my husband, I responded. What else could I say? He replied, wow. No wonder he walks all over you. If that's how you treat him. You have got a lot to learn about dealing with men, dear Sojin. Especially my brother. But come on now. This is a bad conversation for a doorway. Can I see my niece? I hear she's rather adorable. I took a deep breath. I'm sorry, I said, trying to be as bold as I could. I'm going to have to go now. Sorry. I started to close the door on him. All right, I understand. I'll talk to him myself later, don't worry. I won't mention this visit. Do say hello to her mother for me, though, he said, and left. My heart nearly skipped a beat when he said those words. I stood there in the doorway for a good while, stunned. Even now, I still have much to think about. Not simply his knowledge of our child's true mother, a matter of great secrecy, but also of what he said about my husband. Perhaps his words were true. I'm really sorry. Please don't get mad, but I don't really understand what you're looking for. Maybe I'm just not getting it, and it's my fault, but I can't find anything that seems relevant. Sorry. That's perfectly fine, Hyune. I'm trying to get a feel for the situation on the ship before all hell broke loose and everybody died, including yourself. And now you're just restricted to this electronic form of yourself, so if you wouldn't mind, the legendary temper. A clerk. Now, I've been a clerk for a while, And it's not as if I haven't heard all the stories about High Magistrate Smith Sang Min and his legendary temper, but I always figured they were an exaggeration, especially after I met him for the first time. The man seemed like the absolute model of a gentleman, and rather calm and unemotional. I'm not criticizing him, I just never imagined that man getting angry. It was while an official was presenting the facts of a murder case to him, a drunken brawl between peasants gone horribly wrong. It all seemed satisfactory enough. A dozen men had seen it. There wasn't really any doubt about it. So far, so good. Very well, the High Magistrate said. Let me read the confession, then, before I pass a sentence. The official didn't have one, which is reasonable enough. A lot of times they can't get it out of them, and I've never seen a magistrate who was really all too concerned about those little details. Excuse me? You don't have a confession? He said, and his mood soured right there. Why are you wasting my time, then? He looked at the accused, who had been kowtowing silently up until that point. You? Do you even admit to killing him? The murderer seemed confused, and it took a minute to realize he was being addressed. Furthermore, when he did figure it out, he simply kept mumbling, "Not my fault, wasn't my fault," and the such. The High Magistrate was furious. What is wrong with you? What is this man doing in front of me, in a state like this? He doesn't admit to doing it wrong. What do you expect me to do? He demanded. After some silence from the official, he continued, It wasn't a rhetorical question. Please, enlighten me. What do you expect me to do here? To punish him? The official finally offered, weakly, as confused about the matter as I was. Punish him? This was what set him off completely off the edge. He stood up shouting, We are not given the responsibility of punishment. What are we, barbarians, looking for vengeance? The point of justice is to teach immoral men like him the error of his ways, he lectured, shouting at the top of his lungs. And how do you expect to do that with a man who won't even admit his own actions? Does this man look like he's ready to learn? Do you seriously believe that? Are you simple? The official looked as though he was about to argue, but then thought against it. Smart move. The High Magistrate continued more calmly. Now stop wasting my time and get him out of my office. Come back when you have a confession and a clue as what your job actually entails. And with that he left, leaving the official speechless, and leaving me realizing that perhaps a legendary temper and being a model gentleman weren't quite so mutually exclusive as I thought. Very, very interesting. I wonder if this is referencing patriarchal cults and religions and beliefs that require confessions and sacrifices over punishment in order to sort of have the atonement effect. I wonder if that is a hint towards that. Who knows? Might not be at all. I'm really sorry. Please don't get mad. Oh, you still don't know what I'm looking for. Alright, that's quite alright. We will continue on to the next log. Drank himself to death. And we will finish off today's episode with that. From Oso Jin. We'll see if she has anything to say about that. And she just very well might not. She might have nothing to say about these people. She never really had true contact with them, but this mute AI really seems to have something acutely in contact with them, so we will have to maybe check that out next episode. Anyway, drank himself to death. As horrible as it is to say, I don't think anyone was really surprised when brother-in-law Sang Jung was found dead. Nobody asked how, nor has anyone so much as mentioned the word drinking in my presence, since even the ordinarily extremely candid Mute has been entirely somber. There we go again with that mute AI. Mother-in-law, I understand why she's been taking it so hard, and have been working hard to stay out of her way while the funeral preparations are being settled. But mute? I had no idea they were so close, yet in our last conversation, I could have sworn she was on the verge of tears. I had never seen such a reaction from her in all my time here. As for myself, I have an awful confession I can make to no one. I have put on a somber face, acting as though as sad as the rest, since that is, of course, what is expected. But it pains me to admit that I'm not. It is not as if I don't find it tragic, and I feel bad for thinking this. But I didn't know him at all. How could I possibly bring myself to feel as upset as I'm expected to be? Well, you've seen pretty much everything that matters about the Smith family now. I'm still just perusing this all myself, you know. Most of it's new to me too. I mean, when I was alive, I didn't even know the Smith family existed. Well, maybe Jaware mentioned them once. I don't really remember. It's been 600 years, but I don't think she did. I really wish I'd known about Sojin at that time. I really, really do. So what do you think? Are you satisfied with that overview? Oh, well, that's good. So, what do you think of them? Yeah, really. My family considered them political enemies, and the men were always so insistent on our family taking that place to the point where, well, you know. It just seems to me, though, that the men destroyed themselves and dragged women like poor Sojin with them. And I don't understand how mute plays in it at all. That's the weird thing to me. Still, though, what an awful marriage Sojin had. I feel so bad for her. To be thrown away and forgotten like that. You know, though, in a sort of perverse way, I feel a little bit relieved to read another story like hers. Just so you know, it's not just me. I'm reminded that it's not just because I was from another time. It would have sucked even if I was born in that period. Does that sound bad to you? Yeah, that's fair enough. Just one more thing to feel guilty about, I guess. Anyway, I suppose that's all. Thanks for indulging me in going through their story, though. I really learned a lot just now. I won't waste your time with any more babbling. Shall we get back to whatever we were talking about before? So that was the tragic story of Sojin and their family. In the next episode, guys, we are going to see about investigating alternative... Oh, perhaps not. We still have Block 9 to go through, but in future episodes, we will be investigating alternative AI programs. Nothing against Hayune, but we need to find out more about this mute, especially if she's not a moot point in this case.